In Bulgaria, you have a lot of choices when it comes to healthcare. So you have the state-run public institutions, which, for example, are consisting of university hospitals, military hospitals, standard state-run hospitals, and you have DKCS as well, which is not sure what it stands for actually. Probably Dejavan Klinichen Center or something like that, a state clinical facility, and these are spread all over the country and all over the city. If you're in a city like Sofia or even Plovdiv, Varna, you have choice out of, I don't know, at least 10 hospitals per city, I suppose. And the DKCs, the clinical centers, are, I believe, a relic of the communist era still, where you had, again, state-run hospitals, but also for smaller issues and GPs, you had these, every neighborhood sort of had this clinic where you could go if you well, I went to such a clinic one at Dekatse when I once tripped on a hike and I grabbed a branch and a little piece of wood got stuck in my skin and it started to grow, skin started to grow over it, so I thought I need to get this cut out. That's when I went to such a place. They again are uh, consisting of good specialists, good care. You can wait a bit longer than in a private facility, and the typical Westerner, at least, would be a bit shocked by how the facility looks because it's still socialist communist relic. Even the seats, the chairs often haven't been changed. But when you start to look a bit closer, you see the staff is very competent, and they do have modern amenities inside the rooms where they treat you. So what happened is that I went to a sort of well, a doctor there entered the room. He was smoking with a window open, which is something you wouldn't see nowadays anymore. But 6, 7, 8 years ago, that happened in these places still, and even then it was an exception. I don't care about such things. He was working on my case. He was writing some things down, and he was having a smoke in the meantime. Not something I'm bothered by. I like to see things that are a bit different. Makes me think of the old days, you know. Although I obviously don't applaud it either, especially in a hospital. But anyway, he proceeded to strap me in this leather, what looked a sort of torture chair. I'm not exaggerating. The room had a sort of Soviet-looking white tiles, and he actually wore a sort of robe he put that still had blood stains on it. Like not obviously, so he tried to remove them, but he had clothes that obviously had seen better days. And then there was a nurse who was just handing him things like little items, how should I say it, tools to start cutting him into my finger. And they obviously did a very good job. I mean, my arm was strapped to this leather sort of torture chair. I got anesthesia, obviously, and I didn't really notice too much. Eventually, he took out the little wooden splinter and he put it in a sort of, how should I say it, liver shaped, rusty sort of tin, like you see in American movies sometimes. If they take a bullet out of someone who got shot, they put the bullet in this sort of liver shaped tin, you know? I don't know how to explain it exactly, but that's what he put it in, and he's showing the splinter. It was quite big. He obviously handled the rest very well, and I was on my way home. Well, that's your experience in a decade. And typically, you also go there for x rays because not every place has, or not every specialist has an x ray machine either, but these places typically do. Now, as far as I know, at Decatse, the clinics I mentioned don't really take ambulances, so they don't take the urgent cases like they do diagnosis mostly, or perhaps even Decatse stands for Diagnostischen Center or something. I should have looked this up before making this video. In other case, it doesn't matter. What else do you have? You have the big hospitals for the main urgent things, the urgent problems that happen. You have military hospitals as well. I don't know exactly what the difference is, but each city basically has a military hospital, which again is a relic probably from the communist era. I've never been into such hospitals, so I cannot say much more about it. You have GPs as well. They typically work in the decades, I believe, but you also have GPs in the insurance offices. So even the insurance, for example, Generali, they have an office, and uh, that also functions as a sort of diagnostic center. So you can go to a insurance office as well, such as Generali, which is in Sofia on Don Dukov Street, and I get a few bolnice and a few sick leaves from there. And typically back in the day, you had to bribe this man to give you sick leave because he was the one sick leave guy who you could bribe if you didn't go to work. I never actually used it for that reason. I always had legit six leaves if I had anything, but some specialists, when I did have an issue, they didn't or they couldn't were not able to write me a sick leave because in Bulgaria, if you have even a day off, you need to go to a doctor and get a written sick leave. Some specialists don't do that and they say, sorry, I cannot give you that, but you need it for administrative purposes. And then I always called this man, obviously will not give the name, and then I needed to hand him 20 euros and would just write a sick leave. And then again, that was not for purposes of being off work without good reason, but just for the administrative fault that I couldn't get my document anywhere else. Well, again, that's a few years ago.